Hey everyone, welcome to Fisher's Shop. So today I'm going to be restoring the Stanley No.6 Handplane. I've never done it before, so this ought to be interesting. Stick around and we'll see what the final product looks like. Let's get to it. Some of you may have seen in a previous video of mine how I managed to pick up 5 old hand planes from a gentleman off of Craigslist, and this is one of them. It's a Stanley No.6, and it is in definite need of some restoration. There's a lot of surface rust. There's some pitting on the sides of the plane, so we're going to have to work on getting that taken care of. I've done a little bit of research on this process and what others have done and what others have been successful with, so I've geared up and I've got everything I believe I'm going to need to tackle this project. So the first step is to disassemble the original hand plane and break it down to all of its components. I took a piece of 4-inch sewer pipe and I stopped up one side, and I was able to fit all of the pieces down within it so that we can fill it up with distilled vinegar. And this is a trick that I got from Jay Bates's video on hand plane restoration, so thank you, Jay. And I was able to pour in a full gallon and let that sit. So we are at about 26 hours now, and if you look close you can still see there is plenty of activity going on in there. But I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the pieces out and just see what our progress looks like and see if I can clean them up. So here are the components fresh out of the vinegar bath, and what I've noticed right away is that this surface rust seems to just basically fall right off now, which is a real good sign. So I think with the wire wheel we should be able to get most of the rest of that off and get it back down to bare metal. So I chucked the wire wheel directly into the drill press, and this worked really well. Just had to be sure to wear my heavy leather work gloves so that I didn't get all scraped up. But the rust just practically fell right off. You can see just how easily it's getting brushed right off of there. Didn't have to spend too much time on this, but for the hard to reach areas where I couldn't get in there with the wire wheel, I just used a Dremel tool and a small little brush attachment. Here are the components after the wire wheel brushing. I was able to get a lot of the rust off. The base unit here turned out really well. Had to use a Dremel to get into the tight spaces where the wire wheel wouldn't reach, and that worked out okay. Went through several of the little wire brushes, but that's okay. The brass knobs are looking awesome. Pretty excited about that, and I was even able to do each individual screw and washer and get them looking as if they were brand new. Pretty excited. However, the pitting on the clamp here is very noticeable now. So I think what I'm going to have to do is probably try to sand that down and get her smooth again, because after the rust came off, it is very noticeable, I think. So with a sanding cylinder attachment on my rotary tool, I was able to grind off all of the pitting that was on that clamp, and then I just attacked it by hand with various grades of sandpaper and got it perfectly smooth. Once I was happy with how it looked and felt, I taped it off and gave it a fresh coat of paint. Then I fastened down some sandpaper onto my bench and flattened the bottom and the sides of the base unit. And my goodness, this was quite a workout. My arms are still sore. But once it was perfectly flat, then I could tape off all of the areas that I didn't want to get paint on. And that includes the tiny areas on the inside of the base unit where you don't want to get paint either. And there was a couple of areas in there
that I masked off. But once that was finished, I could tape off the bottom and actually fold the tape up on the front and then again on the back and press that in. And once I got a pretty good adhesion, I just took a sharp utility knife and cut off the excess. And I wanted to get a perfect line so that when I take the tape off, I just have that perfect edge of the paint. So putting on a fresh coat of enamel paint, and this is high gloss black Rust-Oleum spray paint. Nothing special, but I sure love the look of the gloss. Here's the frog all taped up and getting its coat of paint. Then what I do is I put on a buffing wheel into the drill press and put on some compound, and I started work with the chip breaker and the iron and the clamp and getting them all buffed up and nice and shiny, and that went pretty smoothly. Then I sanded off the letters on the clamp, except I needed to do some touch-up. So I actually used a splinter and some paint to do that, and it turned out okay. So now it's time to sand the handles. So I took the long rod from the back handle and put it in the front, along with a spacer. I was able to lock it down with some nuts and actually chuck it into the drill press. And it took a little bit of playing and fiddling, but I was able to get it to spin just right so that I could go through my 4 or 5 different sandpaper grains and get it perfectly smooth. I actually sanded it down to like 1,000, so when I stopped it, it felt like glass. But for the other back handle, I had to use 10 gallons of elbow grease and just work at it and work at it and work at it. But eventually I got it feeling just as nice as the front handle and super smooth. So I used mineral spirits to take the dust off, and I put on 1 coat of mineral oil just to kind of penetrate and bring things out, bring the grain out a little bit. And once that was done, I could put on 3 coats of spray lacquer, and that gives it the nice gloss and the protection that it's going to need. So here I am taking the tape off of some of my painted pieces, and took some time to sharpen up the iron, going through my diamond stones and then finishing things off here, removing the burr. So got that all nice and sharp. And so when the base unit dried, here I am taking the tape off, checking the lines, and the lines turned out really, really well. Here I am peeling the tape off of the bottom of the frog and then the top. And yeah, all the lines looked really well, so there was hardly any touch-up that I had to do. And now it's time for final assembly. So putting in the adjustment screw for the frog and reverse threading on the brass depth adjustment knob, making sure the lever catches on the inside, and then seating it in place. Screwing it down, but still leaving it just a little bit loose because I know that there's going to be some fine adjustments that are needed. But once those are in, I can put in the screw that holds in the clamp, and putting the chip breaker and the iron together, putting on the back handle. That takes 2 screws, and then the front knob only takes just the 1. But once I got those in place, I can drop the iron in and raise the depth adjustment, and then drop in the clamp, and that just takes 1 little tweak, and then it's on. Boy, it looks nice. So here's a before and after comparison. Wow, what a difference. And once I got it all assembled, I just couldn't wait to try it out. So I clamped in a piece of wood into my vise and gave it a shot. So check it out.
Alright, so how do you think I did? If you think it turned out as nice as I do, then be sure to hit that like button down below. And if there is a better way to do it, or a more efficient way, then please let me know, because I've got 5 other planes to do, and if there's a better way to do it, then I'm going to need the help. So if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. I know that there's lots out there that you would like, and we'll see you next time. Alright, get out of here. And the wire wheel really definitely was the, wow, really definitely awesome, totally. I'm a very good driver, very good driver. Alright, so how did I do? If you think it turned out as nice as I do, then be sure to hit that like button. If you don't, then leave me a verbally abusive comment that can make a grown man cry. Green. Excuse me, I need to get this. Very important phone call. Alright, so how do you think I did? I'm like falling out of this stool. Oh crap. You derp. I gotta take this thing off before I can put the back handle on. Nice going, you moron. Alright, so how do you think I did? If you think it turned out as nice as I do, then be sure to hit that like button. And if there is a noisy TV upstairs, then that is my wife.